Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Holy Trinity Church in Juneau, Alaska. My name is Gordon Blue, and I welcome you to join with us for morning prayer on this sixth Sunday of Pentecost. It is Independence Day, and I'm thinking about a phenomenon, a supposed phenomenon called crabs in a pot, or by some similar name. I'm sure that many of you have heard of it. Google found about 923,000 results in 0.53 seconds, it said, and then it explained. Simply, the metaphor refers to when you place a bunch of crabs in a pot to boil, that you don't even need to provide a lid on that pot. Because if one of the crabs makes it to the top and is about to flee to freedom, then another crab will reach up and pull her back down to them, to their collective demise. I wonder. The thing is, this attributes motivation to those crabs. And the thing is, if you throw any living thing into a pot of boiling water, the behavior that you observe may not be typical. In my observations, and I admit this is a little gruesome, all evasive behavior on the part of those crabs ceased very quickly. And what behavior I observed made me think that these creatures were not enjoying the experience. So now, if I want to cook crabs, I kill them quickly first. But it turns out that this metaphor is so popular that most of the instances of it don't even call for boiling water. Most just say that crabs in a bucket or a pot or a basket will keep each other from escaping. So that leads me to another observation. The second thing, then, is that it's not even true. Not in my experience, which I admit has been focused on only a few species, 6, of ocean-dwelling crabs. Now, for those quite different critters, each of which lives in a very distinct niche of a hugely diverse ecosystem, for those ones, it's not even true. I tell you, I often wished it were. But whenever there was a hole in the web or a door not properly tied shut or any easy escape, that pot would have 0 or many fewer crabs than the one right next to it. Now, these crabs will sometimes cling to each other, but it turns out that is for much more complex reasons than the metaphor usually allows. Usually the metaphor says it's about envy, as in, dude, I'm not even going to let you get ahead of me, not even if we both die. But in fact, what these creatures do is they gather into a dense ball or a pod for protection from predation. They've been observed to gather and then disperse to forage and then regather. So maybe they're exhibiting defensive behavior that's designed to be helpful to the pod if they pull one another back into the bucket. Maybe. Except, if you don't gather these things quickly and put them in a tight live tank, you're going to lose a lot of them overboard. You'll find them in all corners of the deck. So the third thing is, it's not even true in general. But look, we might say, This is a metaphor, and it's very vivid. You can visualize it so clearly, and it must be because it's true for an observable human behavior. That it is true for people is the reason it's such a powerful and popular meme. It is about envy, and isn't that what Jesus is talking about in this story we read today? Jesus came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. On the Sabbath, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astounded. They said, "Where did this man get all of this? What is this wisdom that's been given to him? What deeds of power are being done by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary and brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. So is that it? That they took offense out of envy? Is that what Jesus is getting at here? And then the result was crippling to Jesus' ability to heal them? I wonder. It seems that Mark would agree, but I wonder. The story continues. Then Jesus said to them, "Prophets are not without honor except in their hometown and among their own kin and in their own house." So the thing I love about this is the way it concludes. And he could do no deed of power there except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and cured them. As if healing by touch is a small thing. Of course, it's not. But in case we gloss over that, let's look ahead to the end of the reading. This is where the 6 teams that Jesus sends out, the 12 apostles were sent out 2 by 2. This is where they begin their work. So they went out and proclaimed that all should repent. And they cast out many demons, and they anointed with oil many who were sick and cured them. Now I think it's become obvious that Mark doesn't seem so unimpressed with the ability to heal by word and touch after all. So while Mark does say Jesus was amazed at by their unbelief, don't you wonder what deeds were expected? Mark wrote, and he could do no deeds of power there. Other than what? Other than heal a few people? What deeds of power? You know, the big miracles of supernatural control over nature were done in the fields and on the lake, in nature. What Jesus did in the village was to heal and to teach. And since Mark says he could heal a few, then the conclusion I draw is that Jesus could not teach them. They would not be convinced. Jesus was amazed at the power of their negative thinking. It kept the folks from experiencing the great gift he was bringing home, the knowledge of the miracle of a life freed from sin. Then the rest of the story comes clearly into focus. It's not to prove that people are like creepy crabs that hurt each other out of envy. We know that sometimes is the case. It's not to teach us that. It's to teach us effective ways to be free of the traps of negative thinking as we learn to walk in the way of love. Look at the rest of what was read. Jesus said, focus on the beauty of life. Don't let fear burden you. You can't carry stuff into the next life. Don't take 2 tunics. He said, focus on the abundance of life. Don't go looking for greener grass over at the neighbor's. Find gratitude in the generosity of your circumstances. When you come into a place and you're accepted, stay in that place. At that place where you're accepted. Focus on the wonder of life. Jesus said, don't burden yourself with resentments from the past. Shake them off like the dust off of your feet and go on. Have mercy on us, O Lord. Have mercy. For we have more than enough contempt of our own to blind us to your love. Heal us. Heal us and teach us to be free. Happy Independence Day.